As the funeral for my husband, the CEO of our company, was underway, my son-in-law leaned in close and whispered into my ear. "I'm dumping that old hag in the middle of nowhere," he sneered. I turned to look at him, and there it was, the twisted smirk of a man who had finally shown his true colors. "Now that the president is gone, the company is mine," he muttered with quiet triumph. For years he had eyed the top spot, and now he thought his moment had arrived. But life isn't that simple, my dear son-in-law. You have no idea who you're dealing with. The battle had only just begun. I clenched my fists, my gaze falling upon my husband's altar. "Darling, give me strength," I pleaded silently. "My name is Melissa. I'm 55 years old, a housewife for most of my life, and for 30 years I stood by my husband Cole. We first met as co-workers, built a friendship, fell in love, and eventually got married. A year later we welcomed our daughter Amber. Cole started out working at a construction firm, but when he turned 35, he chose a different path. I wanted to create, to bring designs to life, he once told me, his eyes shining with passion. So he established his own design firm. It was a risk, we had a 4-year-old daughter at the time, but I believed in him. I stood by his side, helping him build his dream from the ground up. Over the next 20 years, the company flourished, and Cole proved himself to be a capable leader. At some point he hired Nicholas, a promising employee from an affiliated company. Nicholas worked hard and earned my husband's trust. When he fell in love with Amber, we welcomed him into our family. Looking back, that was a grave mistake. Nicholas appeared loyal and shared Cole's vision, but my daughter always had her doubts. "Mom, I don't know why, but lately I feel uneasy around him," Amber confided in me one day. "Why's that?" I asked. "Maybe it's the alcohol talking, but the other night he said, 'I wish that old man would just drop dead. I could make this company more profitable if I took over.'" Her words sent a chill down my spine. "That's a horrible thing to say," I gasped. "But maybe he was just drunk. I doubt he'd ever betray your father." I wanted to believe that. I needed to. But the truth had already begun to unravel before us. Then a year ago, everything changed. Cole, who had always been strong and full of life, started feeling unwell. He lost his appetite, constantly complained of back pain, and eventually agreed to see a doctor. The diagnosis shattered us. A serious, untreatable illness, one that left him with little time. Only our family knew. We were heartbroken, but Nicholas, he barely flinched. "Don't worry, I've got this," he said with a smug confidence that made my stomach turn. "The company will be fine under my leadership." Something about his tone unsettled me. His words should have been reassuring, but instead they felt like a victory speech. Soon after, I started hearing whispers from the office. Nicholas was mistreating employees, lording over them as if he already owned the company. Some quit in frustration, while others stayed but lost their motivation. "Nicholas, I know you're under pressure, but please consider the feelings of those around you," I gently advised him. He scoffed. "Why don't you focus on your dying husband instead?" He shot back, a cruel smirk on his face. I stared at him stunned. "You should be grateful," he continued. "I've tolerated that old fool for this long, but now the company is mine." That was when I knew. The man we had trusted was nothing more than a snake, waiting for his moment to strike. Nicholas ruled with an iron fist, caring only about efficiency. He fired longtime employees, berated older workers for struggling with technology, and severed ties with loyal business partners during tough times. "Can't you old fools even use a computer?" he sneered one day, kicking over a wastebasket. "You're just slowing me down." When Amber came to me, her voice shook with distress. "Mom, he's not the same. He treats me like a servant now," she whispered. "Who else would marry you?" Nicholas had spat at her. "You're lucky you're the boss's daughter. Otherwise, you're worthless." Tears welled in her eyes. "Mom, Nicholas has changed," she said. I shook my head. "No, Amber. This is who he's been all along. We just didn't see it." Cole had heard the reports about Nicholas's cruelty, and though he was frail, he still worried about his employees. One day he called me to his bedside. "Melissa, promise me you'll take care of the company," he whispered. I took his hand and squeezed it gently. "I promise," I vowed. But before we could make our next move, tragedy struck. Despite our best efforts, Cole passed away within a year of his diagnosis. And now, standing at his funeral, I listened to Nicholas whisper threats into my ear. He thought he had won. He had no idea what was coming. Tears streamed down my face at my husband's funeral. The man who had been my rock, my partner in life, was gone. We had shared the same values, never had serious conflicts, and built a beautiful life together. As the priest delivered his sermon, Nicholas leaned in close, his breath hot against my ear. "I'm going to dump that old hag in the middle of nowhere," he sneered. I turned to look at him, and there it was, an evil smirk stretched across his face. This was the real Nicholas. He had been on the board of directors ever since my husband fell ill, and now that Cole was gone, he believed he had secured his place as president. "The company is mine now. I can do whatever I want." I could practically hear the arrogance in his thoughts. Nicholas had always assumed the world revolved around him, but he had no idea what was coming. I clenched my fists and looked at my husband's coffin. "This ends now. It's my turn to keep my promise to you. Give me your strength." With renewed determination, I steeled myself for the battle ahead. Shortly after the funeral, a shareholders' meeting was scheduled. Nicholas arrived late, strolling in with the confidence of a man who believed he had already won. But when he saw me seated at the same table, his expression changed. His eyes blinked rapidly, and I heard him mutter under his breath, "Why is this old woman here?" I nearly laughed. He had no idea what was coming. The moderator cleared his throat. The next item on the agenda, the removal of Nicholas from the board of directors. Nicholas, who had been absent-mindedly fiddling with his pen, jolted upright. "Wait, what? What kind of nonsense is this? I wasn't informed." He tried to stand too quickly, nearly toppling over. The room erupted in muffled chuckles at his misstep. What Nicholas didn't know was that my husband had transferred the majority of his shares to me years ago, and in the business world, whoever controls the most shares holds the power. I had exercised that power to call this meeting. Nicholas had been aware of the gathering, but he had assumed it was routine, not a discussion about his dismissal. "You can't fire me without cause," he barked. "I'm the president's son-in-law." I met his glare with a calm smile. "Your treatment of employees has been unacceptable. The company is suffering under your leadership. You have no idea what you're talking about. Business isn't about emotions," he shot back. "I'm not saying we shouldn't adapt," I replied evenly, "but a company must value its employees and business partners. Without them, there is no success." Several shareholders nodded in agreement. They had always respected Cole's vision, and they could see how Nicholas had strayed from it. His face contorted with rage. "That kind of weak thinking won't make the company profitable." I tilted my head. "You don't work for the company's benefit, you work for your own, isn't that right?" Nicholas scoffed. "What are you even implying?" I pulled out a stack of documents, evidence Cole had given me before he passed. I held them up for the room to see. "Have you been misusing company funds for personal gain?" A heavy silence filled the room. All eyes were on Nicholas now. His face paled and sweat formed at his temples. "Where did you get that?" he stammered. "Cole trusted me," I said firmly. "He believed in a customer-first approach, but you rejected that and tried to twist the company into something it was never meant to be. That's why he wanted me to expose you." "Damn it." Nicholas clenched his fists. "You had no right to go digging through my affairs." I shook my head. The company cannot afford to keep an embezzler on its payroll. His face twisted in desperation. "Then who's going to run the company? There's no one else but me." I met his gaze with quiet confidence. "Don't worry, my husband entrusted the company to me." Nicholas's jaw dropped. "Do what? You? A clueless old woman?" His reaction didn't surprise me. He had always underestimated me. When the company was still small, board meetings were often held in our home. I had always been by Cole's side, listening, learning, and providing my own insights. I understood the company inside and out, though I had never made my involvement public. For years I had assumed I would one day pass my shares to Nicholas, but now that was out of the question. "I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that insult," I said coolly. Realizing his downfall, Nicholas switched tactics. His voice cracked as he pleaded. "Please, don't fire me. I was out of line. I'll return the money. I'll dedicate my life to the company." I raised an eyebrow. You really think you can just walk away from this? I wasn't stealing, he insisted. I was going to use the funds to start a new business. I let out a short laugh. Really? Is that why you've been buying luxury cars, expensive jewelry, and designer goods for other women? Nicholas froze. You can't build a business on stolen money, I continued. And in any case, you're fired. Just when I thought he had given up, Nicholas bared his teeth in a last pathetic attempt at intimidation. If you do this, your daughter will suffer, he hissed. I smiled. Amber already made her decision. By now, she's packed her things and left you. She's been unhappy for a long time. Nicholas's face drained of color. No, she wouldn't. Oh, and by the way, I added, I reported your embezzlement to the police. Expect a visit from them soon. His mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Not long after, Nicholas was officially removed from the board, arrested, and sentenced for embezzlement. Amber divorced him, leaving him with nothing. Now, as the new president, I work tirelessly to expand the company my husband built. Every day is a challenge, but I remain committed to Cole's vision, treating employees and customers with respect while embracing innovation. Most importantly, Amber is finally free from the stress Nicholas caused. She smiles more now, her future full of possibilities, and I will be there to watch over her every step of the way. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Stay tuned.